I'm standing on Alotau Provincial Wharf. Alotau is the provincial capital of Milne Bay Province in Papua New Guinea. Over 175,000 people that live in the outer islands rely on this wharf and related marine infrastructure in Sanderson Bay to connect them to the mainland and to the essential services and the goods that are needed for their livelihoods and for their economy.
The rest of the island in this province is basically accessible by sea. So I have actually traveled all those districts, and one of the very challenging aspect of the entire area is transportation.
Normally we transport hardware materials, timber, cement, any hardware material, roofing irons for the islands, water tanks for the islands, trade store goods for the canteens, for the shops, medicines for the hospitals, and any other cargo that we can take.
These are people from all age group traveling. Everybody travels, even the elderly people, mothers with young babies. And
the condition of this wharf is pretty bad. From the information and the pictures of this wharf being taken by the engineers, is that the structure is pretty bad.
What we found at the wharf is it's in a very poor condition, and this project, by climate proofing it, number one, secures the trade links to the mainland where they can bring their goods to the market.
Climate change for us in Papua New Guinea, it's very diverse and complex, because unlike our other regional friends in the region, I'm talking about the Pacific Island countries, PNG is very complex because we are very high mountain covered with snow right down to atolls and islands. So you can imagine what is between those two extremes.
This is a very special wharf for Alotau. It's been designed in such a way so that it accommodates the needs of the users, which are small boats, but also then it accommodates the changing climate, primarily sea level rise. But in the future, sea level is going to rise. The wharf needs to rise to accommodate it. So what we're doing right now is we're designing the wharf so that it's up, so that it'll be appropriate for the wharf for the next 20 or 30 years, but we're putting a whole bunch of extra pilings down so that very easily you can layer concrete on top, the wharf rises, and so that the boat also will be able to dock alongside it in the future.
I think this project is really important because it's going to make a real impact.
The wharf will be durable. It will sort of like withstand the climate changes by way of weather waves as the climate change affects the sea. And so with the wharf itself, that will withstand those changes. And for the vessels, it also will help them to continue to come and use the wharf and to look after it, because they would, when they see the changes, the appearance of the wharf, it attracts them, and so they take ownership of the wharf to look after it.
because we need to look after our seas and oceans. It is a paradise and a traffic for ships, boats, dinghies, tourists, and yes.
Every islander will be happy about this project.
Our province, under the leadership of the governor, Titus Philemon, is very, very committed to ensuring that transportation, communication is improved in this province. The biggest maritime province in this country, and we have a lot of our people that stays out in the community, and we have no other choice but to provide support in funding towards transportation, basically wharves and jetties. So
the message that will be drawn from this, as I said earlier, is the good lessons coming out of this in terms of, climate compatible investments. This is like moving away from the business as usual to climate-proof vital infrastructures and roads, telecommunication infrastructure, as well as ports and jetties, because that's with the advent of climate change, the frequency and the intensity of sea level rise and wave and all these adverse effects of climate change is so frequent, and it's unpredictable as well for the local community. So when we have climate-proofed investment and infrastructure like that, it will really help. And it does, as I would say, cost quite a bit. So it's very important with the assistance provided by PPCR through ADB. We would like to make this a success so that eventually we can draw good lessons from this, and when people see that it's working well, we can build it into the design and the standard that we have for infrastructure development in country, so that we can generally improve for the whole country.
The Alotau Wharf in Papua New Guinea is one that is testimony to what can be achieved when partnerships are created. In this particular case, sound partnerships between the government of Papua New Guinea, the Asian Development Bank, and the Climate Investment Fund's pilot program for climate resilience, that's the PPCR. What we've achieved all together in this particular case with the climate proofing of the wharf is indicative of the kind of work that's needed to mitigate the impacts of climate change.